What's going on, YouTube? Oh, I'm so upset. Like I said before, I'll do a video, love the video. Shit's over 11 minutes, so I can't post it. And I don't like chopping it up into 2 videos. Gen X still isn't responding to me. I don't know what's good or what's going on. It is what it is, so I have to do this shit all over again. Women dating up. Black women dating up. I got a PM about how I should reevaluate my stance on, not trying to date down, because there's a lot of black women, whether you want to believe it or not, who want to cater themselves to a certain class of men. So they have every opportunity to go to college or to be professional, but they want to be that wife-like chick. And honestly, I understand where she's coming from, and I respect her comments, but first of all, I've told you guys my feelings. My daughters have to be a spitting image of their mother. Okay, obviously parents want their children to be better, but if somebody told me, yo, your kids are only going to be as good, your daughters are only going to be as good as your wife, right? I'm going to have to say, okay, right, I have to choose somebody that, I want my daughter to be a spitting image of, if I know that she can't achieve and be a better sort of person. It is what it is. So she has to be their role model. My daughter shouldn't have to look to Oprah or some other woman in a magazine in terms of what they can be. They should be able to look at their mother and say, oh, man, you can have your master's degree. You can be professional, but yet, put an apron on and cook dinner. You can do all that, okay? It's funny because I look at famous athletes and entertainers, and they'll have their daughter, and I'm like, I wonder what's going to happen when they want their daughter to, to go to college and, be everything that their mother wasn't. They don't want their daughter to be that same, light-skinned girl with long hair in the club who was, extra persistent, right? Who snuck into his hotel room, right? Do you want your daughter to be that? No. But at the end of the day, how are you going to hold your daughter to a standard when you know that the mom, the wife, wasn't what you want your daughters to be? It's like telling your daughter you have to be everything that your mom wasn't. That's kind of hard to do, right? And then also, financially, for me, it's always better to have 2 streams come in. It doesn't matter how much money you make. It doesn't matter if you're a business owner. People will fall on hard times, okay? And the simple fact of having 2 incomes coming in, it's always better. It's always a good thing. You can never save up enough, especially if you're living in a certain area. You want your kids to have a certain lifestyle. You're thinking about retirement and not having your standard of life drop off, right? So you can never make enough money. Unless you're talking about multi-millionaires and people in that caliber, you're worrying about money. So your surgeon, who's highly successful, is still worrying about money. He's not blowing money like it's water, right? You have to remember, your highly successful doctor or lawyer is still making less money than the wackest player in the NBA, right? You have to remember that, so people can have a proper perspective. Just because you have a career and you're making a lot of money doesn't mean that you're spending money like water. You're still trying to find the best deal. You're still trying to negotiate, right? You're not balling when you have to negotiate, right? When when you have to figure out, how much are you trying to sell me this S500 for? Well, I can get it over here for, $5,000, less. You have to negotiate. But people who are balling, I'm coming in, I'm trying to pick up this Phantom, I'll be there around 12. Drop off the check and pick up the car. That's when you're balling like that. So that's just me. But apart from those 2, honestly, and I don't know if I'm going to offend people, but it is what it is. In order to date up, you have to accept the fact that there is a middle class and an upper class. And in the black community, we haven't. According to the black community, there is no middle class black men. There is no upper class black men. We're all the same. Unproductive Negroes, right? So literally, it's broke niggas and niggas who just happen to have money. Okay? And they're not aware of the fact that there's a distinct culture for middle class black men or upper class black men, and then all the little subdivisions in between. It's like that for every group. There's a unique culture. So if you're a woman wanting to date up, you have to understand that culture. But to understand it, you have to accept it. And the black community hasn't accepted it. I shit you not. At my school, we have minimum day Mondays where the kids get out at 12. Okay? And for a lot of us, Kids leave at 12, so we end up leaving around 1:32. And for a lot of us, it's a great opportunity to run some errands, stuff that we didn't get to on Saturday. We can get clean up on Monday. Okay. So one time I had to go to the DMV, and you know how it is at the DMV. You're there forever. So the only seat available was next to this black chick. She was okay. She was whatever. I didn't really have my MP3 player, so I'm waiting, making small talk. And we're talking, and the whole concept of what do you do comes up. And I don't really like to talk about what I do outside of work. It's just I don't really like to do all that because I don't like to be patronized. Black people sometimes they'll patronize you. Oh, congratulations. I'm like, yo, chill. I'm just trying to do me. But anyways, it comes on. I'm like, fuck it. I teach 6th grade. And, she was like, okay, somebody's balling. And I'm like, what? Balling? Like, I ain't trying to say that they're paying me scraps, but I'm under 30 and I teach, so I'm not making that much money. If I was in my upper 30s or 40s and I was still teaching, yeah, the longer you teach in California, the more you make. So you can be a teacher and you're making 6 figures, but, you're making over 100K, but it takes a while to get there. So I'm like, yo, I'm a young cat. Like, where do you get that whole I'm balling from? And it's just like, yo, this is shit that I'm talking about. Because there's no middle class, upper class black men, it's either broke niggas or niggas with money. So at the end of the day, you're still dealing with a nigga. But this nigga has a couple of hundred in his pocket. And that was a mentality. So for her, it wasn't even awesome. She's, trying to date up. She's still dealing with the nigga. And, I'm like, man, that's a major turnoff, right? A major turnoff. It's not that I'm trying to hate, but, it is what it is. And this is the problem. Literally. You'll have, let's say maybe the street hustler, right, who's balling, he has his hands in multiple things and he's made a certain type of money, right, but he still has all those, his mentalities, right. I can understand that whole, okay, yeah, that nigga's balling. But then you're looking at a dude, let's say, who's a lawyer, and you're like, man, that nigga's balling. Like, it's not the same. You can't say that a black lawyer is a nigga who's balling, as opposed to the street guy, who has his money together. It just doesn't work that way. It's a different lifestyle. Okay? They do different things. And like I said, if you don't accept it, how do you know how to fit into that world? How do you? People can say what they want to say, but the American white woman, she knows how to date up. It is what it is. And I say that because I have some uncles that fucked up and, messed around and, dated and had kids by, poor white women. But at the end of the day, they knew what they were doing. They know how to date up. They know that there's a difference between the street guy or the middle class white guy or the upper class white guy and all the people that fall between, those rankings. They know that there's distinct cultures, so they know how to fit in. They know what to say, they know how to act, and they're ready to cut off ties with people who won't fit into that world. She knows that she's not going to put the biker boy in the same category as the corporate white guy. She knows what she has to do to fit into that world. It is what it is. Right? She knows the different mannerisms and what's going to be expected. But for black women, you don't get it. So how can you date up? How are you going to prepare yourself for the world that I'm living in? Solo touched on this a long time ago, and I'll never forget that. He talked about how him simply paying his bills, the chick couldn't understand what he was doing because she wasn't used to it. And that's the problem. So for me, it's just like, how can you? Even if I wanted to, apart from the 2 things that I said in the beginning of the video, how can I? When she's not used to a different sort of world. Right? And, for somebody to look at you crazy as if, nigga, what are you doing? Niggas don't live here, or niggas don't talk a certain way, niggas don't dress a certain way. Niggas aren't responsible. Yeah, you got money, but you're not supposed to be doing all that. It doesn't work. And I'm not saying that, black women who may find themselves in lower income environments are like that, right? But there's enough of y'all where that is the perception. There's enough of y'all that will say, nigga will say, yeah, I have like a rank and file sort of job. This nigga's balling. Oh, we got a baller here. And it's like, yo, like, what are you talking about? Right? No one's saying I'm broke, but I ain't balling. right? You know, if the white girl wants to date up, she's not gonna look at the dude, you know, who maybe middle class and say, oh man, we have a baller here. She knows what's going on, right? She knows this is what I want. Okay, this is the lifestyle that this guy's looking for. I can fit in, right? Because I can identify where he's at. But you don't get that for a lot of black women in terms of the women who want to date up. So that's why brothers is like, nah. And I said this before, go ahead, go to any inner city sort of environment. You'll see light-skinned girls, you'll see mixed girls, you'll see European features, but they're still there because they don't know how to date up. Dudes may come through and smash, but they're not dating up. Because no dude is going to want to hear, oh man, you're balling. What are you talking about? You know, I'm a professional. I'm not a nigga with money. So anyways, y'all take it easy. That's my vid. God bless.